enlightening and thought-provoking speeches. In fact, it is high time for all of us to work together and strive forward to making India a global knowledge superpower, and we can become surely a Vishwaguru in the near future. Well, keeping all these things in mind, I have so much of questions in front of me. Many questions are quite similar, some are different, but I just randomly pick up a few which may be of certain interest in the academics and for the overall development of the state and the region. Well, even in the NEP 2022, we are just having a strong component for the internationalization of the higher education. For that matter, the National Affairs Minister definitely will be playing a pivotal role to bring in any kind of a collaborative works with various universities the world over, especially the Southeast Asian countries, for collaborations in terms of faculty exchange, in terms of student exchange, in terms of joint research, and that way our academic pursuits can become at par with the global standards. Well, keeping all these things in mind, we have again looked at this policy of our Honorable Prime Minister Sri Narendra Modi, that is the culture, the connectivity, commerce, and capacity building. So capacity building, skill development is again another important area of concern. Well, our Honorable External Affairs Ministers had touched the various dimensions of the overall development and also the connectivity, especially with Bangladesh, Myanmar, and the other neighboring states about the India-Myanmar Thailand trilateral highway could be another important role. Just to set all this background note, I just would like to pick up a few questions because due to the paucity of the time, I will just pick up a few and then we will see similar questions for our better understanding. What is the one? Hindustani Wahimba from MA History, University of Manipur. Hindustani. Okay. Do you have a mic there? You can just ask your question. You can come here to any of the place where the mic is there.
Very hard.
Hello sir, nice meeting you. My name is Hindustani Wahimba and I'm studying in MA first semester Manipur University.
But you just come to the point first, the question straight away because of the paucity of time, please.
My question is, with India going to host the G20 summit in 2023, what will be India's role to further carry India limelight into world politics?
2022 23 नहीं 24 में शायद कर रही है ऑस्ट्रेलिया.
Okay. Then next question is from Chingsang Soga from Department of Political Science, MU. Or should I read it out the question? That would be better. What can be the future of Act East policy and its impact in the northeastern India? Chingsang? Oh, this is in the back. Okay. Then we also have a question from third question, Professor Vijay Kumar.
My question was, sir, what measures are being undertaken to allay the apprehensions that Indo-Pacific is going to replace the Act policy? And we thought once the Indo-Pacific is operational, the centrality of the region will be lost. So, what do you say?
One more question
की बात कर रहा हूँ.
Yeah. One more question from Mr. Hansland NG, Game College of Arts.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. You can just straight away ask the question.
Hello, sir. First of all, I would say that I'm very much overwhelmed, just as any other UPSC aspirant over here. My question is, what are the important things that you would advise to today's youth and today's youth who are aspiring to serve the nation as an IFS officer in the future? My name is Hansen Ng. I'm from GMU University, Philosophy Honors, third semester BA. Thank you.
Let me start with the G20. We're going to do G20 very, very differently from how
हो गया
everybody
G20
else has done it.
हो गया
Till now, most countries did it in their capitals, maybe a few more cities, and it didn't necessarily have that kind of public participation, which we would like to see. So this time around, actually the manner in which we would do it, which is really to have G20 events around the countries in tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 cities and towns, so that we want a much a sense that the entire country thinks it is their G20.
इंडोनेशिया
It is not government's G20 or Delhi's G20, it is India's G20. So that's the first point. The second is what would be, in a sense, the big issues, the role, the agenda. It would, G20 reacts to the immediate issues of the times, a little bit before, a little bit after. And right now, the world is struggling with COVID, looking at the Ukraine conflict consequences, energy and food. There's a very serious debt situation in the world. And you would have all seen climate emergencies in the world are growing. And in all of this, there's a real deep worry that the sustainable development agenda, that is education, health, sanitation, urbanization, these are going off track. Countries are not meeting targets because they don't have the financial resources to do that. A lot of it would be this, but at the end of the day, G20 is about finance and economic and development issues, and that's really where the focus would be. India will certainly be a voice of the global south, because there are not many countries of the south, the developing countries in the G20. If you look, because G20 is the 20 biggest economies, the 20 biggest economies are mostly developed economies. The other two issues, how could we even think of leaving them out? No, look, I mean it when I say we want to make sure that this whole country has that sense that, look, it's our G. The other two issues, because they are linked, Act East and Indo-Pacific, and in a sense you are asking what happens if the more you get into Indo-Pacific. But the other question to the gentleman from the back was really what happens to the Northeast. My sense is, Indo-Pacific is a very good thing for us, because it establishes today that India has serious interest in the Pacific Ocean, which it historically did. I mean, people used to trade all the way to China and Japan and Korea. Even today you can find Indian monuments and archaeological sites and evidence of trading in that part of the world. We had shrunk our horizons during the colonial period and after that. Today, once again, I would say the country is coming into its own. We are sort of broadening our vision and our interest. And because we are broadening it, doesn't mean we will neglect what is a part of it. ASEAN will always remain the first, when you step out of India, in fact, you just cross Moray, you have hit ASEAN. So ASEAN is the first step up. It will always be the first step up. And for us, ASEAN is still the most effective meeting ground for all the countries in the region. So its acceptability is something which we value and we will always support and promote. But the issue which the young gentleman from the back raised, which was, what does it mean for the Northeast? In fact, if we can actually make really visible gains in our connectivity, which means India, Myanmar, Thailand, trilateral hub, if we can get the connection through Kaladan from Paleva to Sitwe port, if we can actually have much smoother logistical connectivity access to Bangladesh, the future of the Northeast will change. The future of the Northeast will change because you will suddenly be much more competitive. You will have much more access for goods coming in and goods going out. The number of partners you will have will grow. There are today markets which are logical markets which you can't access. When I was in Singapore, for example, we made a lot of effort at promoting products, agricultural products from the Northeast. But just getting them there regularly was a big challenge. So our hope certainly would be that between Indo-Pacific, in a sense, as a kind of a pull factor, and today Act East as a kind of push factor, that we can get Northeast much more deeply involved in the economic activities of all the geographies and economies east of India. And I think that will, in a sense, will be India's eastern face to the world. On the advice to the youth, that's a very big question. I have 3 children. I'm not sure whether any of them followed any advice I gave them. What I can say is, look, how much you know about the world, how comfortable you are with the world. We could not have imagined it when I was your age. It was like a very tough education. I mean, the first time I went out of India when I was 24 years old, because the government of India gave me a job and sent me out. It was only the second time I'd even got into an aircraft. Even getting into an aircraft was a dream at that time. So today your opportunities are much more, your horizon should be more, your ambition should be more. And I would dearly love bright, talented minds more and more to join the foreign service. But I would also say there are so many other things also, which opportunities we didn't have in our time. So in many ways I envy all of you, but our responsibility today is to make sure that we prepare you for those opportunities. Your education is different, your skills, your talent, your technical training is different. Your opportunities are different. That we find, getting a passport, for example. You know how difficult it used to be 25 years ago to even get a passport. Just imagine if you couldn't get a passport and you found it too expensive to travel on a plane, suddenly your work has shrunk. So you people are in a much more fortunate position, but it is still our responsibility to maximize those opportunities for you. That is something which we are very, very determined to do. I hope G20, because G20 should end up with the entire country having greater global awareness, especially the young people of the country having greater global awareness. They should be comfortable with the world, and I have every confidence if they are. The competitiveness that all of you have, and especially everybody in Manipur has, I have every confidence that you people will make the most of the world.
Good questions?
Very good.
Yeah, very quick. We have one question from Jimmy So. She's a research scholar from Myanmar. She wants to express a little for our country. Jimmy So, she's here? Okay.
Good evening, sir. My name is Vito, a research scholar from the
Kindly just put your question, please.
Yeah, sir. Our Myanmar scholar, most of the students from our country are studying around India. But now, as you know, our country is facing a lot of difficulties. And to go back our country also is really dangerous and it cannot be considered to be safe. So what kind of how can we expect from India? And one question is, behalf of my country, our people. India also one of the strongest democracy country. What kind of help can we expect from India who support the democracy? Thank you, sir.
सीधा हेल्प मांग रहे हैं
Amini is a MBA student from NIMS. Amini is a.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir. First of all, we would like to thank, on behalf of the African students, to thank the government of India for giving us this opportunity to study in India. And then I could not pass by without giving my appreciation to the Manipur University also. So our question is, what will be the role of India in the sustainable development of Africa as most, India has most of the powerful countries in the world, as China is taking over Africa. So what will be the role of India?
Where is Monica?
खतरनाक है।
Monica, MIT, yeah, this side. Okay.
अब चाइना अफ्रीका पीछे रहा है ना तो इंडिया कैसे मदद करेंगे
Question.
Okay, my question is, as you have been in various countries in this world, could you, which country's education infrastructure or which institution that you have been so far has impressed you the best? And what makes that university or that institution or that country unique that you could learn from them? Thank you.
Look on the Myanmar, the question which the student from Myanmar asked. I do appreciate the difficulties and the problems that students from Myanmar would be going through. I don't have a single clean, neat answer because I think a lot of it would depend on what individual students would want to do once they are through with their education. Let me really, to the best of my knowledge, at least we have not come across significant number of cases of people who want some kind of, exception or carve-out made for them. I would say if you have a problem, the best way would be to approach us through the university. That would probably make the most sense. In terms of your issue, the point you made about democracy. Look, everybody, suddenly every democracy wants every other democracy to do well. It's a kind of a natural affinity. So the turn of developments in Myanmar is obviously something of deep concern to us. But we also today, and it's, if you are living in Imphal, that as a country which is a direct land border, you also have to manage other aspects of life. There are people moving between the two borders. We had a period when there were people who had COVID on that side of the border, and there were concerns whether that becomes a problem for us. There are issues of insurgent groups, there are issues of crime. There is a sort of a practical, I think there's a practical border management engagement issue. And as I said, there's also the deeper question of building this trilateral highway, because that would be good for the people of Myanmar and of India and everybody else beyond as well. So in foreign policy, often you have to combine multiple objectives. So our support for the democratic process and the democratic transition is there. After all, if there was any country which, particularly in the earlier period, had a sort of association with the democratic struggle, it was India. So we have to today find a way really of meeting all these requirements at the same time. And that is often quite a challenge. On the Africa issue, we today, first of all, our approach to Africa is, in a way, I would say somewhat unique. Prime Minister Modi spelled it out in Kampala in 2018, where he said basically, look, we will do in Africa what African countries want. We'll work to the needs, demands, and priorities of Africa. So everything that we try to do today in Africa is consultative. It is like saying, okay, these are the kind of things we can do. Please tell us which parts of it are of interest, or if you have a particular priority, please tell us what it is. We will tell you whether it's possible to work with you. And in that consultative mode today, we have really ramped up our interface with Africa. You know, in the last 3 years, obviously COVID has been a big problem. But despite the COVID, since 2016, we actually have trained or trained more than 40,000 African students and professionals in various domains. There are 25,000 African students from Africa today in this country. And we are today looking at, I spoke about the digital revolution out here. We want to take it into Africa. We want to do distance education, distance health. We are looking at greener growth because there's a very strong renewable push out here. In fact, only day before yesterday, I was meeting, we had a hackathon with African students. And I was actually talking to African ministers about how can we work together in growing millets, because both India and Africa are the main producers of millets in the world. But for India, the relationship with Africa is an emotional relationship. I'm not sure you can say that for all the other countries. And that is really what makes a difference. Finally, which country has the best education? It's like asking which university is the one which is the best. Of course, you will say Manipur. But the fact is, there's no question American universities have a certain strength. The ability to get things out of individual students is actually quite extraordinary. But you have universities, today in Japan and China who have, their rigor and, in a sense, the sort of the amount of what they have invested in universities is very, very impressive. So I honestly can't give you a flat out, uncaveated answer. But I would still say today, if you are looking in terms of creativity, where are the big ideas coming out of university? I would say on balance still America is still leading that, and that's one of the reasons why America still kept its position as the #1 country.
Thank you so much, sir. Due to the paucity of time, we are unable to take up all the questions as for this